Okay, so we have our mesh, so we're ready to go ahead and export everything for use in Maya. Now, we still are going to be coming back to Nuke for a variety of different things, as well as any final effects, of course, will still be composited inside of Nuke. That's where we're going to be attaching anything we build inside of Maya, potentially to the objects will be here inside of Nuke, or rather, excuse me, to the footage. So we want to do two things. We want to, of course, export what we need, but we also want to quickly clean up our Nuke scene. So there's several things I'm not going to need anymore. I'm not going to need my camera tracker anymore. I don't need any of these nodes I had used for cleaning up the footage for tracking. So all of that can go. I'm going to keep my point cloud generator for now. I may not need it again, but not going to get rid of it yet. It's a very kind of light one to get rid of a lot of points. Keep my roto around as well. I absolutely still want my camera. I don't need my old point cloud anymore either. Go ahead and move all this up. I'll keep my scanline render for now. That'll be useful for doing tests later on. I'll go ahead and clean that up a little bit right there. We'll just put that right there. Get it out of the way. The tracker node, I'm also going to go ahead and delete. And again, I'm deleting all of this because I know I can always come back to it. It's been saved dozens of times. I'm also going to get rid of these meshes. I don't need all of them. It's only this baked mesh 2 that I'm keeping. That's the one that has just a little bit of smoothing on it. So we'll get rid of this mesh and this mesh here. And I'll keep the light around just because it allows me to see my mesh. So now that things are cleaned up, let's take a look at getting this exported. So first I want to put my baked mesh back into its original position. So I'm going to just put it back at 0, 0, 0 here. There we go. It's right back where it was supposed to be. And let's look at exporting. Now, to write anything out of Nuke, we need to use write nodes. And you'll notice, oops, got my caps lock on. You'll notice that I can't type. We have two write nodes. There's write and write geo. The write node is only going to let us write out image formats. So it's the write geo node that we're going to want. So I'll go ahead and grab that. So notice I can connect the write geo to the baked mesh. However, it won't actually connect to the camera, which I'm never quite sure why that's the case, but it actually just doesn't let us connect to it. However, it will let us connect to the scene. So the scene with this connected would write out the baked mesh, the light, and the camera. Now, I'll be able to specify what's written out, but if I really want to make sure the light doesn't go, I could always, of course, disconnect the light as well. So that's not a problem. However, there's a way we can actually kind of almost customize what's exported without having to connect and disconnect things from a scene, especially if we have a very complex network. What we can do is actually use a node that's going to allow us to combine two pieces of geometry or a piece of geometry and a camera into one node, and we can then go ahead and export that node. So let's go ahead and create one of those. I'm going to go ahead and hit tab, and it's going to be a merge geo node. There we go. And I can throw this baked mesh in there. And I still have yet as many pipes as I need over here, so I can also connect the camera. And now I can connect the write geo to this merge geo node. There we go. And now it'll ensure that the only things I'm going to get are going to be my mesh and my camera. So let's go ahead and customize this write geo node. Come over here and we'll close off everything else there. Not a whole lot to do here right now. I'm going to go ahead and select a file type, and FBX is what I'm going to want. ABC would be Alembic. OBJ won't be able to bring certain types of animation data and things like that. However, FBX should be able to bring everything I need, and I'll specify that I don't need lights, cameras, or point clouds. Now, I could bring this point cloud if I wanted to. However, it would be very, very dense. Every one of these points would be converted into a locator inside of Maya, and Maya is just not really good at handling very high node counts. You would think it's, not an issue. It could handle hundreds of thousands or millions of polys, but individual nodes, especially these nulls, it does really choke on. So we're just going to stick to the geometry and the camera. So I have those selected. I'll specify where they'll go here. That should work just fine. And we're going to call this Nuke Export version 01. Okay. And oops, set it to FBX again. Sometimes it does this weird thing where it won't add the extension. So I'll add it myself. Okay, and once again, lights, axes, and point clouds off. And I'll go ahead and hit execute. And when it does this, be sure you do make sure it uses the entire input 0 to 344 to make sure we actually get all of the animation for the camera. So I'll go ahead and hit OK. That's all going to write out now. I'll just go ahead and actually it's going so incredibly quick. I'm not going to pause. So at this point, we're pretty much done with this module. We've gotten everything we need in order to go into Maya and begin building a more accurate surface that we can ultimately match to our footage. So let's go ahead and just spend a moment and take a look at what we have covered in this module. We began by taking a look at using the scanline renderer to actually check the quality of our track. If you recall, we created a cube, put a little checker grid on it, placed it near the actor's forehead, and went ahead and rendered it through the scanline renderer to see if it actually stuck. We then moved on to actually taking the data that we had, which was this new animated camera, and then taking that, piping it along with our footage into our new point cloud generator to actually create a much more accurate point cloud, one that isn't a byproduct of the tracker, but something actually generated from the results of the tracker. We then took a look at actually pruning that point cloud to remove anything that we didn't really need, extra points from the backgrounds or just areas that are far too dense, to only keep the data we really need to try to generate a basic mesh for the actor's face. After that, we went ahead and did just what we said. We grabbed our point cloud and generated it into a mesh. We took a look at different ways to adjust that as well by increasing or decreasing the smoothing levels. And we kind of finished off by taking a look at how we can actually export meshes and camera data for use inside of Maya. So that brings this module to a close, and I'll see you in the next one where we're going to begin creating the mesh inside of Maya. So see you then.